Dr. Angela McBurdy of DoctorFlute.com, and today's flute tip is on practice articulation for a better tone. We often think that getting a better tone is all about doing our long tones. Doing our flexibility exercises, practicing De La Sonorite by Moise, and practicing all of those other tone books, Trevor Wise Tone. Yes, those will help. Don't get me wrong. You need to practice those books as well. But sometimes there are other exercises you can do that help a different aspect of your tone or help you approach your tone in a different way. And one of the ways I like to do it is through articulation practice. It is good to practice with lots of different articulations anyway, because your tongue is a muscle and you're exercising that muscle, so that when you need to tongue really fast or double tongue really fast or even single tongue quickly, your tongue is right there and ready to go. There are some articulations like tongue 1, slur 2, tongue 1 that can often get you bogged down, that do occur in solos. And so if you practice that muscle, you're going to accomplish that and approach that much better. But let's just talk about practicing articulations, and especially and more specifically really short staccato articulations to help you get a better tone. Now, there are a number of ways to do that. And one of those is through any exercise that you have. And really, you can practice articulations on anything. If you're short on time, go to your 16th note sections in your solo and practice there. Just any spot in your solo that you enjoy practicing or think sounds good, and mix it up a little bit by articulating. Now, when we articulate, what I think helps best is to really be thinking about how you are putting your ta on the roof of your mouth and centering that tone immediately. When we practice articulation, specifically for tone, it's all about packing a punch. When you put that ta out there, that tone is right there. It's not spread, it's not delayed, it is right there, and that's what you're concentrating on. One of the areas I like to do that is on Reichert's 7 Daily Exercise number 2. And you really turn anything into this exercise, but this is one where I like to do it. This is where he does 1 and 5 arpeggios. So it sounds like this. Okay, that's slurring it. I often, though, don't slur it at all. I practice it for my articulations. So I sped up there at the end. But that helps me. I especially like practicing articulations in the really low register because it helps me to hold that air in, not let it out, and make sure that I get the tone immediately on there. So you can turn any exercise that you're doing into an articulated exercise where you are tonguing short and making sure that that tone is there. One area in a solo that I like to work on, and I think it's great for my students to work on, is in the Cantabile Presto, the Presto section, because it starts like this. All that low register tonguing and really fast. Now, I remember starting this and finding, a long time ago when I first learned this solo, and the tone wouldn't come in until I got up into the middle register, that I would completely lose. the whole low register, because I would practice it with the double tonguing and my fingers and tongue could move that fast, but I hadn't learned what it takes to get a low D to come out and have tone on it in a really short period of time. So if you have that delay, that ta, when you play your low D or E flat or C, and the tone comes in after, the longer you hold it, the better it gets. You have that delay. And then if you have to tongue it really short, the tone is not going to be there. So I can work on my tone by working down here in the low register, tonguing really fast. So I'm going to do the double tonguing, but I'm thinking about getting a really good tone by holding in my air. If I hold in a lot of air, don't really blow, just let my tongue do its work, it's going to come out better. I'm holding so much air in that I've got to let it out in order to take a good breath. So if I really work on that, yeah, I will have to let air out and then I can breathe. And I feel like I'm slightly uneven by going tucka, 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 tucka. And it's a good place to listen to it because our tongue needs practice as well. It's not even with our tuckas and our, or if you do dugus or whatever your syllables you're using. I like to use tucka. It's what I learned as a youngster, and it's hard to get away from that now. So I'm going to start working it a little bit faster. But if you're having trouble, don't. Just go one note at a time. Now, I'm talking a lot about the low register and tonguing there, but our upper register too. We can work on notes in that upper register or, in fact, going down. So I'll just take another couple measures into the Presto where it does this. All right. Now, what if I want to practice that to articulating it? Because maybe it's uneven for me. Let me do it differently. So I just did that slur 3 tongue one. I did it forwards and backwards. But I'm thinking about making sure that every time I put that ta on, that tone is very, very centered and the quality of sound that I want. So if it came out like this, where it's not very centered, then I say, okay, how would I get, say, the first one I tongue is the E flat. And then the low, and practice it a couple times. Just usually the problem is too much air is coming out. So if you hold in more air, you get a better tone, you get a better response, and the tone is more resonant. Maybe I'm going to tongue in them all. And making sure that each note is an absolute gem of a sound as I go up and as I go down that. So if I didn't say, I went forwards and backwards up the same run, all right? Because going backwards really helps. I'm not sure of the reason why, what cognition is going on there, but if I play some of my runs forwards and backwards, I learn it better, and when I go forwards, it's better. It's also a way to even out your fingers and work on the muscle control there too. So I like to do runs forwards and backwards. If you haven't tried that ever, try it. It's a really good practice exercise for learning fast and difficult passages that maybe your fingers are having a hard time manipulating. So that's how I would work on articulating for a better tone. It's a really good method, other than your long tones and some of the other methods that are in our tone books, to work on specific issues of tone. This makes us center that tone in a really short period of time, and it's also a good way to practice your tone because we don't always get long tones to show off our tone. Sometimes it has to be packed in a tiny punch, and it has to be resonant and beautiful. So practice articulations, whether it's in a solo, in 16th note passages or 30 seconds or whatever, or in your exercises. Anything can be turned into an articulation for tone exercise. So work on that, see what happens, and let me know down in the comments. Have fun.